I'm going to run through our 10 to 15 minute Pilates flow sequence that we did in the last week of term. I'm going to do it without any props today. If you do have balls or blocks or bands at home that you want to incorporate, then feel free to use them just as we did in that last week of term. The only thing I do suggest you get is either a towel or a blanket, or if you have a Pilates ball, then use that. If you're using a towel or a blanket, just roll it into a tight cylinder and have it towards the end of your mat at the beginning of the routine, just for that support and feedback in the mid-thoracic area through our roll up and our 100, and just to give you a really nice stretch out afterwards as well. So we're going to come straight into our seated position, ready for our roll ups. We want our ankles, knees, hips, all in a nice straight line. Our arms are coming down, our shoulders aren't hunching forwards, they're drawing back. We're inhaling to sit tall on those sit bones, lovely L shape through the spine. Exhale, take that tummy button back, take that chest back, and begin to roll back towards that ball or blanket. Just let your back graze that support. Take your inhale and exhale to roll forwards. Coming back up to that lovely tall L shape. Exhale, rolling back down. Taking that inhale, keeping that gap between the chin and the chest, and rolling forwards, incorporating a spine stretch in there if you want to as well, drawing that crown of the head forwards, getting as much flexion through the hips as you can. Keep the knees bent or extend them. Coming back into that roll up one more time. So we're going backwards towards that blanket or ball. This time our arms are coming forwards, our shoulders are still back and stabilized, and we're going to press those ribs down into that support. Anchor our feet on the mat, reach our hands forwards and begin to pulse our hands, really squeezing into those upper abdominals. Taking lovely long deep breaths into the rib cage, pulsing those arms but keeping the rest of the body as stable as we possibly can, scooping into that thoracic area. And then just steady those arms. Bring those forearms down to ease yourself back. I'm going to wiggle back ever so slightly and just open out over that blanket. Take my arms into a capital T shape and just stretch out through that chest, opening up the spine. And take a couple of breaths here. If you know that you're a little bit tight through this thoracic spine area and you want a little bit of support through the neck, then just pop another cushion just under the head. Particularly if you find that your chin is having to go up towards the ceiling. Take another nice deep inhale and bring those arms up towards the ceiling. With an exhale, push those ribs down towards that blanket or ball, lifting the upper body, reaching the arms forwards but keeping the shoulders back and rolling all the way up, coming forwards into that spine stretch again. Legs bent or straight, whichever feels good for you. And then sitting up nice and tall. Take that support away and we're going to come down into our one leg stretch. So we're sitting up tall, we're rolling back with control. If you want to place those hands or forearms down, then do. Take that controlled roll towards the mat. And lift that right leg straight up into a strong tabletop position. Really press through the big toe of the left foot. Take an inhale and with an exhale, we're going to extend that foot towards the opposite wall, lowering that thigh just below the left thigh. Inhale to draw it back in towards you with the same sort of control. Don't let that knee just ping back in. Extend it with your exhale. Draw it back in with your inhale. Your left knee might want to wobble. Really try and stabilize that other side. And this time draw that knee all the way in towards your chest, stretching out through that hip. Take a couple of breaths here and just try to note whether when you draw that knee in towards you, it makes your pelvis tilt up. We want that tailbone heavy to the ground, just drawing in through the knee and the hip. Take an inhale, and with an exhale, that leg's going straight up towards the ceiling. Hands are on our hips. Pressing through that big toe of the left side again, we're going to draw our one leg circles. 2 in one direction, taking our time for our stabilizing muscles to kick in, and then 2 in the other direction. Now either we're going to place that foot down and come into a roll up, or if you want to take a slightly more advanced version of coming up, keep that leg extended up towards the ceiling, drop it down towards the floor, and as that leg comes down, lift the upper body, coming into our half teaser. Straighten out that spine, place that foot down, and we're coming back down into our roll up again. So rolling back down towards the mat. Again, use those forearms and hands if you need to, taking that control as you come into the mat, and then lift that left foot up to a strong tabletop. Going back into our one leg stretch, exhaling to push that foot away, inhaling to draw it back in. Really watch that left knee comes back in towards you with a lovely straight line. Watch that right side doesn't wobble too much. And this time draw that knee all the way in towards you. Again, aiming to keep that tailbone heavy towards the mat. And with an exhale, take that left leg directly up towards the ceiling, hands around our hips. Going into our one leg circles. 2 in one direction. Really press through the big toe of that right leg so it doesn't wobble. Really engage that core. And then coming all the way up to sitting, either through our roll up or pushing up on your elbows, or we're coming through our half teaser on this side. So dropping that leg down towards the floor, lifting that upper body, reaching forwards, finding our lovely straight spine. Taking an inhale and then placing that foot down. Coming all the way forwards into a spine stretch. Taking some of the pressure off those hip flexors. And then sitting up nice and tall. We're going to inhale here. Exhale to roll down towards the floor. Taking our arms out into a capital T shape. Shuffle those heels a little bit closer towards your bottom. Take an inhale here, and with an exhale, we're taking the knees over towards the left-hand side, letting the right foot follow. Keep both shoulders cemented into the floor. Take an inhale into that stretch. And then use an exhale to engage the abdominals and draw those knees back towards the center point. Inhale at the center, exhale over towards the left. Right. Still don't know my left and right. Take an inhale, and with an exhale, we're just going to draw a lovely big arc in the sky with that left hand, drawing it all the way over. Rolling that chest over towards the side lying position. Take your bottom arm all the way up and under the head, or keep it forwards and place a little support under that head. We're going to take the top leg nice and long, and as we do so, we want to scoop the waist away from the mat. Hips are stacked. We're going to inhale to prepare, exhale to lift and lengthen that leg. Palm is facing the front of the room, and we're going to go into a one-leg kick. So that leg is drawing forwards as the shoulders squeezing back, and then we're going to come back to the center, squeeze through the glute, let the arm come forwards like a pendulum. Squeezing back, foot comes forwards, coming back to the center with the foot, and the arm comes forwards. Squeeze that core, take that foot down, bend those knees, push yourself up to a mermaid position. If this is uncomfortable, feel free to take your legs forwards. Come over into a side stretch. Really trying to find that lateral flexion through the spine, just as we did in our side bend in the warm-up. Coming all the way up and over and flexing in the opposite direction, turning to look at the palm of your hand. Squeezing into the waist to take that arm all the way up and over. Coming into our 4-point kneeling position. We're going to come down towards the mat, ready for our double leg kick in prone position. We want a nice strong core. We're preferably coming down through a Pilates press up, but if that's a little bit much, then just get down to the mat however feels right for you. Squeeze that core, squeeze those shoulders, and bend those elbows really close to the ribs, taking that weight down as if you're looking over a cliff. Just push up again. And then come down, this time all the way down towards the mat. Find that control. If you can only get to here, that's absolutely fine. Then send those legs long and come down to the mat. Or keep that tummy button squeezed up away, coming all the way down, and then send the legs long. Nose grazes the floor, forehead comes down to the mat. Arms are down by our hips, palms facing up towards the ceiling. We're going to go into our double leg kick, which begins with our dart position. So take an inhale, squeeze that tummy button away from the floor. Exhale, lift that upper body, squeeze those little fingers together as the palms rotate down towards the floor. Bring that upper body down with control, and as you do so, squeeze those heels towards the bottom. For 1, 2, 3. Extend those legs back to the mat with control and lift the upper body. Coming back into our dart. Coming down towards the mat and pulse those feet in for 1, 2, 3. Don't forget to squeeze the core. Coming up into our dart position one last time. Circle those arms around under the forehead. Just relax. Take a little break. Push yourself back into a child's pose. And in our child's pose, we want to take our back into a nice relaxed rounded position, taking our bottom back towards our heels and letting that thoracic spine just ease out over our knees. If coming into that much flexion through that stomach and hip area doesn't suit your body, then feel free to come up into a cat stretch, taking an inhale and exhaling, tucking that tailbone under and pushing that mid back up towards the ceiling. And then coming back down through a press up to come back down towards the floor. I'm going to roll back onto my right hand side, but obviously for the second set you want to roll in the opposite direction to do the other side, but then you'll just see my back. So we're going to come all the way down to that mat with control as best you can. Take those legs long, Rolling onto your side. Have a little shuffle around. Bend that bottom leg for stability. Arm comes up towards the hip. Lower arm is just there as some support for the head. Relax the shoulders, squeeze the core, pull that waist away from the floor, and we're going back into our side kick. So lifting that leg up to hip height, using an exhale to draw that foot forwards towards the front of the room, and drawing it back, that arm comes forwards, squeezing into the glute to take the hip into extension. Arms coming back, legs coming forwards, and then back opposite direction. Squeeze that core, squeeze the waist. And then lower the leg, lower the hand. Bend the legs in. Push yourself up to that mermaid position. Take a roll over, stretching through the spine. Coming all the way up. Coming all the way over and turning back into that 4-point kneeling position. Tuck the toes under. Walk those hands back towards your knees. Roll up into that spinal flexion. Take an inhale and then exhale to come all the way up to standing again.